So I was talking to a member of the Unhooked community last week, and he said something that really stuck with me. He said, I feel like my brain just turns off, like I'm watching myself relapse and I can't stop it. And that's when I realized most people don't know that this is actually a documented neurological phenomenon. It's called the amygdala hijack. It's when your primal brain takes over and your rational mind shuts down. And in this video, I'm going to show you the 60-second brain hack that stops this hijack from happening and prevents urges from taking control. Because here's what's happening. When you get triggered by something, whether it's stress or boredom or something you see on your feed, your rational brain literally goes offline. You enter what scientists call the 4F response: fight, flight, freeze, or that fourth one, it's a 4-letter word, starts with F. Many of you watching will know what this feels like. You get tunnel vision, that sense of urgency, an inability to think about anything else. We get hooked. But there's a simple technique that can bring your brain back online in less than a minute. And understanding how this works completely changed how I approach dealing with urges. Unfortunately, it works not just for urges with porn, but really for any of the fight, flight, freeze, or F responses. So let me show you how it works. So hey guys, before we dive into the topic today, a quick announcement. The doors to the Unhooked Academy program are now open. We keep the doors closed most of the year so that I can focus on serving the members inside the community. But this week, we're opening the doors for signups for the next cohort, and this is limited to 20 members. If you are interested in getting support and finally breaking free from this habit, definitely go check it out now. Just go to unhookedacademy.com where you can apply for the program. There is an early sign-up bonus, so the first 5 new members get a free deep dive coaching call with me. So sign up soon. All right, now back to the content. So first, understanding what is the amygdala. The amygdala is a part of the nervous system. It's in the brainstem region, and you can think of it like the ancient alarm system. It was responsible for keeping us safe in times of danger. So what triggers the amygdala to activate the amygdala hijack? Back in the old days, it was things like seeing a tiger or a lion, or standing on the edge of a cliff might have triggered it. Also, things like seeing things that we wanted, a mate in heat, a source of food. We might get that sense of, oh, I want that. I need to chase after that. These days, what triggers the amygdala is things that are maybe not life-threatening, but they might feel that way. So it might be stress or loneliness, might be an email from our boss. It might be things that we see on social media, thirst traps, certain photos that we come across. These can trigger that alarm system of the fight, flight, freeze, or F response. Now, interestingly, the amygdala activates in a much faster time period than the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is that part of the brain up here in the front on the top that is involved with our rational thinking and decision making, the more thoughtful side of ourselves. So these 4 Fs that the amygdala are responsible for, the fight, flight, freeze, and F response, these are quite obvious. Sometimes we feel like we need to fight off an enemy. Sometimes we need to run away. Sometimes we feel like we just need to freeze and not move. And sometimes the last F is we need to chase after things. We need to get it and hold it and grab it and F it. So those are the 4 Fs. Now, what's really interesting about the amygdala is understanding what is called the amygdala hijack. And this is when the amygdala gets activated, it actually down-regulates the prefrontal cortex. So it down-regulates the part of your brain that's involved in rational thinking, long-term thinking, decision-making, all of the parts that we might associate with our higher self. So it down-regulates that part of the brain and up-regulates your amygdala so you can just act without thinking. And this was important. If there was a tiger coming at you, you didn't want to pause and think about what kind of tiger it was. You wanted to immediately react. So this is why the amygdala can take over. It will shut down the prefrontal cortex. And this is why, importantly, willpower fails when we get in that triggered or hooked state. Because We don't have access to our willpower in that moment. We don't have access to our rational decision making. It's not a question of willpower. It's a question of your brain just not being online. You are literally in an offline state. So when the prefrontal cortex is offline, you literally can't just say no because you're not really thinking clearly. So what's the solution? Well, there's a simple mindfulness practice that can help us deal with the amygdala hijack. It's called the labeling technique. And the way that it works is to simply label what you're noticing is arising within you. So for example, if you're feeling strong lust, if you can label and say, oh, this is lust arising in this moment, or oh, I'm noticing I'm feeling a strong emotion of lust. What that does is that it actually reactivates the prefrontal cortex. It brings your brain back online. It brings the rational thinking part of your brain back online, and it down regulates the activity of the amygdala. And this works for any strong emotion. If you are triggered by anger, let's say somebody sends you an email and it's a nasty email and you get just so angry and you're boiling inside. If you can have the ability to pause and say, oh, this is anger that's arising. In that moment, again, it reactivates your prefrontal cortex, down regulates the amygdala, and gets you out of that triggered state, gets you out of that hooked state. Why this works, naming the emotion, it creates that distance. It brings your rational brain back online. It gives you time to pause and think. So this is how we do it. Here's a real world example. Let's say you're scrolling on social media and a thirst trap comes up on your feed. You get hooked, you get triggered, you start thinking, oh, I need to look at more and I need to click on that profile and search for more. And maybe I need to open up a porn website. And you just start rolling down that hill. The snowball starts rolling down the hill and gets bigger and bigger. In that moment, if you can pause and say, oh, this is lust. Again, it reactivates your higher self. It brings you back online and it gives you the opportunity to really say, oh, is this what I want to do with my time? Because the problem is when our amygdala is firing up, a lot of times we make decisions that don't support our long-term happiness. We do things in that state of fear or anxiety or wanting to fight or run away or F, and we end up regretting it later. So if we can bring our prefrontal cortex back online, if we can gain access to our higher self again, then we can make more skillful decisions about how we want to live. So that's the power of this labeling technique. And it's why it's one of the techniques that we practice in mindfulness, in your daily meditation practice, during your morning routine. You can use this labeling technique. So for example, when you're doing your mindful breathing, you can just label, oh, breathing in, breathing out. Or if you notice a strong emotion coming up during your meditation, label it. So if you notice restlessness, you label, oh, this is restlessness. If you notice pain in the knee, you say, oh, pain in the knee. If you notice that you're thinking about a conversation you had in the past, say, oh, thinking. So the labeling technique is something that we build over time. It's a muscle that we can strengthen. And that's something that we do in meditation. So some common mistakes that people make when trying to deal with these urges, one of the most common is trying to suppress the urge, trying to just push it away. This doesn't work when you're in that triggered state because you can't overpower this primal instinct that way. If you're feeling a strong sense of lust, you can't suppress it and pretend it's not there because it's a primal urge. If you're feeling a strong sense of anger, you can't push it down. We know that what you resist persists. And so this is why we have to use this brain hack. Instead of trying to suppress it or fight it or push it away, simply notice it, acknowledge it, and observe it. Say, oh, this is anger. And what that does is it's a sneaky way of getting the power away from that strong emotion. You're not trying to fight it. You're not trying to suppress it or push it away. You're acknowledging it, observing it, and labeling it. And in that way, you actually take back your power. Now, one of the other problems that people do is they judge themselves when they have one of these strong emotions. When lust comes up, when anger comes up, when fear comes up, they judge themselves. And this, again, just exacerbates the emotions, because if you judge yourself, it doesn't actually do anything about the emotion, it just makes you feel worse about it. So judging yourself, fighting the urge, suppressing it, none of these actually work. Instead, simply label without judgment. A little tip here, the earlier you can do it in the timeline, in the lifespan of the emotion, the easier it's going to be. So if you can notice that emotion early on and say, oh, okay, I just saw this thirst trap image. Ah, lust is arising. It's much easier to catch it early on than to wait later on. You know, if you're an hour into your acting out behavior, you've built up a lot of this steam and momentum of acting out. So try to catch it early on. Once you label it, once you notice it and say, oh, this is lust, a lot of people ask, what's the next step? The next thing that I recommend doing is simply noticing how that feels in your body. So when you notice lust, say, oh, this is lust. Oh, how interesting. What does it feel like in my body? And then start to investigate. Oh, it feels, there's a heat in my chest. You know, my heart is beating rapidly. Start to get curious. When you get curious, what happens is, again, it brings more of your prefrontal cortex back online and down regulates the amygdala even more. So get curious about how it feels in the body. Building the habit of labeling your emotions is something, again, that we can do over time through a consistent, dedicated practice. So this is why I would recommend in your meditation practice, and hopefully you have some kind of meditation practice, to be practicing this labeling technique. Simply acknowledging what emotions you're feeling will be really helpful for when you're dealing with it in your day-to-day life. The summary here is just to remember that this amygdala hijack is real. It's not a personal failure. It's a very real neurological phenomenon where your brain goes offline and you go subconscious. You tap into that primal state of wanting to fight or flee or freeze or F. And it's not a personal failure when that happens, but we need to be smart about recovery in bringing yourself back online. The mindfulness technique of labeling is one tool you can use to bring yourself back online and gain access to your higher self again. So here's the challenge for you today. Try it out. See if you can notice one strong emotion today, whether it's lust, anger, jealousy, sadness, any of these strong emotions that might trigger you. See if you can notice it, label it, acknowledge it, and then get curious about how it feels in your body. You will notice that it starts to lose its power over you when you label it this way. And if you do get caught in the amygdala hijack and you do act out, see if you can not beat yourself up too much. Again, understanding this is a natural thing, and the amygdala really is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to prevent harm. It's trying to keep you alert to things that might cause harm to you. So it has good intentions. It's just an outdated system that we need to update. So try to not beat yourself up too much if you get caught in one of these amygdala hijacks. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys today. That's it for the show. As a reminder, Unhooked Academy is now open. So go check out unhookedacademy.com to apply to join the community. We'll see you guys next week.